Hi everyone, welcome back to another scrapbook layout video and thank you for joining me again today. First off, I'm going to start this video out by saying if you can hear the pouring rain outside, I apologize. But if you guys know anything about the fires in Oregon, we are so excited about this rain and I feel like running outside and playing in it. If it wasn't dirty with smoke, then I probably would. But that's, again, the only reason that we really need it. So I'm super happy. It just started total downpouring. It's wonderful. Anyways, to the layout, I am doing the second layout with From the Workshop Your Way for this Close to My Heart collection. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the last layout where they said to just use the two patterns. So the one that I just glued down and trimmed the edge off there, it's kind of like a fabric texture type of pattern. But instead of using both those for the full background and covering up half of them, I'm going to just use one of these old pieces of white paper that's a different from some other random company, and I'm going to just glue it on there. And I didn't know the sizes, so that's why I'm just adding it on and then trimming it off, just like I did with the last video. And now I'm left again with another full sheet, which I'm going to use again. So I'm quite happy that I did that. Actually, I can't remember. Did I use that sheet? I don't know. Either way, this layout is fairly simple. Again, I'm in a hurry to get these videos up for you guys because I know I haven't done many videos for a while. So I didn't do any of the journaling. I'm going to add all the journaling later. And, but so this photos at the end won't have the journaling, but I mean, you can pretty much see what it looks like anyway. So the funny thing is I lined these two papers up and I must have cut them from a separate, like there was there was two pieces, different pieces that I glued together, but you can see, ironically enough, those lines line up exact opposite of each other. Do you see those in the middle? That bugged me. I didn't have another one that I could cut. I tried to think of what I could do, but I thought, when they're in the page protectors in the album, there's going to be a little bit of a space between them, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I really tried to not let it bother me, but there's a huge part of my OCD that kind of did let it bother me. So they're at least going the same direction. If they weren't going the same direction, then for sure I would not have put them on there at all. But so you can see there how the blue lines up with the white and the white lines up with the blue. It's driving me crazy. That's okay. I'm also adding a different amount of photos. I believe that they just had two 4x6s on the right hand side and one 4x6 on the left, and then the 4x4. I'm not exactly sure, but I had more photos and I thought these photos were super sweet. I thought about leaving some of them out or doing a couple different layouts with them, but I decided just to put them all in this layout and that it would work perfectly. So I'm going to glue these ones down in a row, and I had originally cut the two smaller ones, these ones that I'm gluing down here. I cut them to 2.5 by 2.5, and I was going to put them on the very right hand side of the page. But when I put those other two photos on there, it didn't look like it filled up enough of the space. It looked like kind of empty, and I didn't really like it. So I decided just to make a row of these photos, and I figured I would either do my journaling on the right hand side or I would put the title there. And you will see how that comes together in the end. I probably, in the long run, probably could have made a single page with all of these photos, but I wanted to use this kit and follow along with the kit. I am using my gray wool Close to My Heart ink, and I think I've mentioned in a video a long time ago that I thought it was running out. And it, for some reason, after I did that video, it seemed to not be, it seemed to have like more ink in it or something. I don't know if it just sat there long enough or something, but I noticed doing this, all three of these layouts, that it just wasn't very inky anymore. So I'm going to get a different gray ink. I'm sure that they have more gray colors, but I'm actually going to try getting, what is it, Hickory Smoke Distress ink. A lot of people like distress inks for inking edges, and I've never used distressed ink for inking edges, so I think I'm going to give it a try and see if I like it. I do have the mini distressing, just like 1 or 2 packages of the archival ink pads, and I have the hickory smoke in that, but I don't want to use those for inking. Those are mostly there to use because they're really convenient because they're in the drawer by my roller date stamps, and so that's why I have like 2 different packages. So I have black and browns and all the different colors. So I don't have them all, and I end up using only the black and brown anyway, and the gray. So but I like the color of the hickory smoke for that one. Um, so this sketch, I don't think it called for anything to go along the bottom here, but I was thinking of adding a little something, and when I put this ribbon on, I thought it ended up looking really cute going all the way across the pages and kind of going behind the photos. It just kind of added a little something, and it also uses up more of this ribbon because I mentioned in the last video as well that you end up with a lot of leftovers with these kits. So I decided to go ahead and I'm going to span it across both of these layouts. Luckily, my pictures weren't too hardcore glued down yet, so I could lift them up. And then I just put 2 lines of this really thin scrappy tape that I have. I like to use this for like 1/4-inch strips quite often. And then I'm just going to pull the pictures up you can see there and put the ribbon so it goes underneath those photos. And then same thing if you didn't see the last video, when I wrap a ribbon around the side, I don't like to cut the edges because they fray, especially this ribbon. This ribbon frayed really easily, even with better scissors. I guess I could have got my Tim Holtz ones out because they seem to cut the best with this type of thing. But so I just wrap it around, and I usually use a piece of scrappy tape to glue the initial ribbon over on the back side, and then I put a piece of washi tape or any kind of tape that will hold it over, and then I put that on top of that so that none of the scrappy tape is still out and none of and so it doesn't get stuck in the page protectors as well. So I don't know if you can notice here that I accidentally, when I did the ribbon on the right hand side, I did it along the very bottom of that gray piece. And here I wasn't even paying attention. I put the first strip of scrappy tape down on the gray piece, but then I put the other one below it. And I realized it, and I'm like, oh darn it, that's going to be really crooked, but it's actually not too far off from the other one. So again, it won't be right next to each other in the page protector, so I'm not really worried about that. And then I took the end and I just tied a little knot and then glued it back down. And so I tightened that. I didn't want the knot to be super tight, but since I had those papers with the banners there, I thought that that was a pretty good way to end off that kind of that ribbon. It gives just another little bit of interest. Now I had this giant journaling block. One of the pages is a cut apart sheet with all journaling blocks from the kit. And I really liked the way it looked over there. I thought it was perfect. But this part here, I'm really going to struggle with. And it looks good there. I like it with the title there. I still don't have anything to fill in the area that's between that one photo and the ribbon. And I'm going to look through a lot of different things. I didn't know what to put there. I'm going to try flowers, but just one of the flowers. I didn't want to fill it like with a ton of flowers and punch out a bunch of my own, but I wanted, I didn't mind 1 or 2 flowers. I just didn't want to do a whole bouquet of flowers. These are pictures from way back in 2011, and they are of us still finishing up the new kitchen remodel, and this was putting in the floors. And I thought about doing another title saying, time for floors or something, but I couldn't think of anything cute. And then I kind of just was like, I don't know, the word today works just fine. And in the journaling, I mean, they'll know what those pictures are about. So I ended up taking that journaling card and I'm going to trim it down, and it fits in there really perfectly. And so it does leave more of a blank spot on the right hand side, but I couldn't leave this spot. It needed this piece. And I didn't really I don't know if you saw me trying the other 3x4 cards. I thought about adding a patterned paper there, but like I said, I don't have a lot to say about these photos anyway. Again, it's just us putting in, starting the floors in a very long process of remodeling the house. So we did this. It started way back in 2009, 2008, 2009. We started the remodel because it was either we had to remodel or we had to move. And we've got a nice big backyard, and none of the other houses that we looked at had a yard even nearly the size that we could afford anyway. So we started this, and a few months later I was pregnant. A few months later is when my son was diagnosed with type 1, so we found ourselves in the hospital dealing with that. And then the baby was born. So it was quite the time to remodel, but it is what it is. It's beautiful kitchen now. So the biggest problem with my kitchen now is that I have to clean it, right? Stuck inside for so many days and you have to clean. That's the only thing there is to do. I'm so glad that I have this YouTube channel because I think it's the only thing that's kept me sane during all of this whole entire year. So thank you to you guys for supporting me and just being there and chatting with me all summer long. It's really made a huge difference. So playing around now, I am kind of doing my own thing with the clusters at this point. Other than the papers, I think I pretty much, once I started to do that ribbon, that's kind of where I started off doing my own thing. I do like that banner that says today over on the right hand side, but at this point I'm kind of avoiding it. I knew I was liking these other clusters, so I just started putting them together, but I just knew that right hand side was feeling very empty and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. One thing I did remember was to pull out these pre-made faux chipboards. So here's all the little hearts that I've glued together 3 or 4 layers of white cardstock. So now I just need to punch out some of the color or the pattern paper to put on top of them. I was just trying to figure out which punch I had used. And I'm going to take this super tiny scrap that I had from part of that green border where I cut it down, and I'm going to punch out the heart, one of the hearts from, actually, I think I do a few of the hearts with this. And I'm just using, the method of the Post-it note, anything to help hold it in place while you can flip it over or get it in there in far enough into the punch so you don't have to hold on to it. And so I punched out a bunch of different ones of the hearts. It's funny because some of them are so tiny. I think it might not be this layout. It might be the other layout where I lost half of the ones I punched out, but they were just sitting on the layout. But I punched them out and couldn't find them. And then for the last layer of this faux chipboard that I've made, I just glue that green pattern piece that I just punched out. And I did decide to ink these edges just because I didn't want too much white showing along the edges. And I don't always take the time to make sure when I'm making these pre-made faux chipboard pieces, I don't always, I mean, I line them up as best I can, but to me, it's not worth taking forever and ever to do it. So, that way, if a little bit of white is showing though, you can just ink the edges a little and it's good. Now what I want companies to come out with is an edge inker or something like that that doesn't fall apart super easy. I've tried makeup brushes. I've tried those picket fence perfect blending brush things. I don't know what the name of them are. I haven't tried the Pink Fresh Studio, I think is the name. That I haven't tried that so much, but I feel like maybe it's because I do a lot of scrapbooking, but I feel like my blending brushes fall apart super fast and it's driving me crazy. But anyways, so if you know anybody, tell them we need a different kind of brush. So there, again, I took some of the hearts. I'm trying to add that black. It's, from the word today, I'm trying to add it around. So I added that arrow and I kind of knew I was going to put that there. I'm adding the date, and I didn't have the actual day, but I knew it was April of 2011, and I don't like it. So I tried covering up half the stamp with a Post-it note, and it didn't turn out very good. And normally I don't really mind because with date roller stamps, I kind of like it sometimes when they're not perfect looking. but I didn't really like that. You will see I'm going to fix that in a little while. So here again, in case you haven't noticed, I'm still avoiding the right-hand page of the layout. But I was also having a lot of fun working on this left-hand side because it was just, I don't know, I was enjoying how these clusters were coming together really well. So now it's time for the right-hand side. Have that word today. It's going to go on there. I can't remember if I add any foam tape or not, but I was trying to think because I know it's going to need something. I wanted to add some kind of floral element to this side. I had the flowers because I have them on the left-hand side. I feel like they need them on the right-hand side. I did have that white flower stem that's on the layout on the photos right now. It was one I think I not punched, but stamped and maybe die cut, or I must have die cut that. Or it was a die cut from another pack. I don't believe those came with this pack at all. I don't even know where they came from. I added one to the left-hand side as well, but they actually worked out really well. They kind of added a little bit something more. So I'm going to trim off quite a bit of it and stick it under here. And then I'm going to add this one flower with the stems, and then luckily I really like this other little single flower because it kind of added to that cluster. I felt like it really needed something else. So I popped that second flower up on the same foam tape. And again, I'm just going to play around with these gray elements. I didn't use a whole lot of them, but I'm inking the edges of those a little bit because again, those little knobby pieces are on there and those drive me nuts. So another little faux chipboard heart piece that I already had the green pattern paper punched from. So I'm going to add that on there. And I'm just playing around with where I wanted those to go. I also knew I was going to add some enamel shapes because I added them to the clusters on the other side. So I was trying to keep that in mind when I put these down. And so I'm going to just have those two. I could have added a third heart, but I didn't even really think about it. And I don't know if you've noticed, but with all of these enamel dots, I am adding extra adhesive on the layout. I do not trust pre-sticky, the regular enamel dots that you get like from Echo Park or Lawn Fawn are one thing, but if enamel dots can pull up and they have like the glue dot underneath them, I don't trust those. They slide around too easy. They just seem to come off too easy. So I just figured I'd put a little glue dot or dot of glue in each spot when I was doing it, and it worked out pretty well. So here is something else I will leave a link to. Scrapbook.com has these sticker books, and I didn't even think, I was just thinking I needed a little something more on the layout. I wanted to add that little cluster on the top hand part in the middle, but it needed something. So I decided word stickers, and I actually got this sticker book for free, but it's pretty cool. It's got a bunch of alphabet stickers and these word stickers, and these word stickers were perfect for this. There's some that say Home Sweet Home, which I don't know if you can see. I covered up that stamped date, and I'm going to put the date somewhere else, but those word stickers were just perfect. They have black and white, and there's different colors of the sticker books, different theme, like a Christmas color ones. And so I will leave a link to those below. They're pretty cool. You should check those out. But that is pretty much going to be my layout, and I'm super happy with it. You can see that textured paper in the background, how it's kind of like a fabric-y textured type paper. And I still have a full sheet left of it too because I added the other thing. There's one of those faux chipboard hearts and one of the word stickers. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.